Welcome to Daily Plunge. We are in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 12. We're going to cover the whole book. Chapter 11 and the beginning of chapter 12 talk about all the priests and the Levites and how many of them came with the first wave of returning exiles with Zerubbabel, the grandson of King Jehoiakim. And all of these people these particularly men, are dedicated to the work of the temple, to leading the people of God in praise. And they serve throughout that time. And so now we get to the dedication of the wall. And, you know, the wall, and in one sense, was a practical capital accomplishment. It needed to happen. Jerusalem needed to be protected. It needed to have not to be so exposed and vulnerable. But it is also a spiritual achievement, right? And not an achievement on their part, but that this is about what God is making them as his people. And so there's this joyful celebration. The priests are leading. The people are coming to the town and they're purifying them as they come in. Now, why? This is what I mean about this being a spiritual event, because the wall was about defining them as God's people, and they are to be purified to once again define them as a people set apart for the service of God, that they are a holy nation given to God, chosen by God. And so during the celebration, there are two choirs leading the procession on each side, different ends of the wall to meet up in the center. The people are processing behind them. This is an accomplishment that they have done together, and it is a great thing. And after that, they process to the temple to continue their celebration, and they're rejoicing. And it says in verse 43 that God gave them great joy. They know that this is a work of God that has happened through them. And they're rejoicing. The rejoicing can be heard far away. And I wonder sometimes, the rejoicing that we do in our church, does it get beyond our walls? Do other people hear of it and see it? Now, it is real easy for church people to do capital projects. We'd love to get into a building project. But the whole point is, how is this building helping in that process of forming us as God's people? Architecture has purpose. And what is that purpose that's being lived out for us? Now, verse 44 tells us that there's a storehouse for the offerings, and the offerings are the first fruits and tithes. In other words, they're giving to the Lord off the top. They're giving 10% of their income to God, right? And why? Because the portions are required, and it probably says law in your translation, but the word is Torah. What does that mean? Is that to live as God's people of promise, this is required so that you have priests and Levites, so that you have workers of the faith amongst God's people to help them grow in faith. And it says that Judah, the people of God, were gladdened, that they rejoiced in the work, the service that these people perform. But they are not their employees. It says they performed the service of their God. They're not employees of Judah. They are servants of God that work for God with God's people. And as it says in verse 47, they made sure that all those people, their priests and Levites, were taken care of. And that challenges us. How are we taking care of the people who are doing the work of the church today? Thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.